You don't own a bunker, so you gotta get yourself into a tunnel fast, because ICBMs are incoming. Or perhaps your home for the next several days is going to be at the top, crouching in among the I-beams in this underpass to try to get the maximum shielding factor. Will you be able to bring enough preps to do that? Will you have food, water, and sanitation? So can you bug out with your supplies? And how much can you actually take with you? Okay, so you've got yourself all these amazing preps. Like you've got your fuel tanks and your food and whatnot. So this video, the purpose of this is to see how much can I actually pack hastily into a car. So timer's gonna start now. I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna, okay, a nuke's coming in, incoming nuke. So I need to pack. How much can I pack? So you might be tempted to rush, but then you're just gonna screw up. So in spite of the fact that you may be tempted to rush, you may instead need to move slowly and carefully. So first, I'm going to pack these 2 gas cans. These are Wavian. These are basically 5-gallon Wavian gas cans. I know I can fit them in the front. Now I need to make space, so I have a wife and a small kid. I need to have space for them in the car as well. This is all stuff I believe I can fit into this car because I packed this before. I'm now going to try to see if I can pack it all in a relatively short amount of time. I'm going to assume falsely that my wife is willing to give up some of her leg room in order to fit gas cans. This may not be a good assumption at all. But I will assume that the desire for survival may help. So I grabbed 2 5-gallon gas tanks, put them there, and she's gonna, in theory, sit here. These food and crackers and things will be on her lap. She's gonna find a way to fit her legs there somehow. So I'm gonna assume this spot is now used up. Now, the baby's gonna have to go over there, so therefore I only have that amount of space and some trunk space remaining for the bug out procedure. And again, you should practice this. Do not assume that you have more space. That's what I normally keep in my trunk. So some spare shoes, a 2.5-gallon tank of gas, some water, and some random miscellaneous everyday crap. So I'm pretty sure this stuff will fit, but let's find out. Can I actually take it and pack it all? So I'm gonna move this here. Try to put it here. And see if I can pack it. And finally, one more last 5-gallon tank of beans and rice. So 3 buckets of beans and rice. Some Nido Fortificado powdered milk. As a side note, some guy, I think YouTube channels called Corporal's Corner, figured out a way to add a pool noodle to pretty much any bucket. I think he started the 5-gallon bucket to make a cool toilet. And another guy, I think his name is Pilot Patriot, has a channel where he drills some holes in a 5-gallon bucket and screws in some Berkey filters and then puts that on top of a lid that has some holes in it on top of yet another 5-gallon bucket. Now, he adds a little spigot, so it's like a full Berkey setup. But I think that spigot is unnecessary, and it's just a risk for a leak and a waste. So you could just pull the top bucket off and scoop out water out of it if you wanted to drink some. But this would allow you to use your 3 5-gallon buckets to create a portable toilet and a portable water filter setup. If you just throw in a pool noodle and like a pair of Berkey filters. I would possibly only drill one hole and you only use one of the Berkey filters and use the other as a backup, or possibly build a 2-stage filter with 3 buckets on top of each other. But enough with that. Time's running out. Those ICBMs are on their way, so let's just keep packing. In theory, a bug out bag is nice, but how do you know you're ever really going to use any of that stuff if you're just going to a hotel or something? Okay, so far it's about 11:35. I still have stuff up there, heavier stuff down here, some water, and I still have some room. Not much. I don't know how much I can fit. Probably some of these water packs into the trunk. I mean, you're gonna have to bring some life straws and other things too, but I'm assuming that's in your bug out bag. But you need some ready to go stuff. You need some ready to go food and some ready to go water. You can't go around and only have life straws. Just assume that your first day or two, everything has to be ready to go. No hardcore shelter building, anything like that. Everything has to be just easy, no cooking required. Perhaps some MREs or those humanitarian daily rations. Basically easy stuff. Has to be all easy stuff, easy to set up. Can't be some sort of, should not require fire or cooking, because you probably not going to be set up for such a thing unless you end up bugging out into a hotel room, which might be the best possible bug out location, because if there's a nuclear apocalypse, price of the hotel room is eventually going to go to zero and you'll just be living in a hotel room, possibly, or teaming up with the hotel staff and the other people in the hotel rooms as your group. So these have some clothes in them. I can probably fit some in here. Now, you pretty much have to have all your preps ready to go. You can't afford to have preps all over in your house and then you go collect them. You don't have time for that kind of crap. You basically have to have them all packed up and ready to go at all times. And you can see that it's taking me quite a long time to load this car, assuming I have everything packed up and ready to go. So here's another bag of clothes. The reason I'm keeping them in these Mylar bags, these shiny refrigerant bags, is because I'm thinking, hey, these might be good for keeping something cold or hot, even though I have nothing that requires cold or heat. So I've got a bunch of cans of peanut butter and some evaporated milk and stuff like that.
And then I've got this heavier duty case of food. So I'm gonna put that here. I'm gonna load that into that part of the car. I'm gonna put this here and set this here. Okay, so it's now close to 11:40. Remember, it's very likely that all pandemonium is breaking loose and every minute counts. So this dry run for loading that container has a variety of mylarized foods, cornstarch, powdered milk, some non-fat dry milk, peanut butter, things like that. I'm spending some time talking instead of rushing because you're going to end up talking with your significant other / family members to help plan, because they're not going to know what to do, so you're not going to get the full efficiency of the time that you want. So to simulate that, that's why I'm talking to this phone instead of just running. Let's see if this trunk will close now. Okay, the trunk closed successfully. That's good. Now, it's getting pretty loaded up. I think my wife will barely fit there. My kid will fit there. I'll fit over there. And I even got 10 gallons, well, 12.5 gallons of extra fuel, which is basically one full gas tank. And I've got this one last box of canned food, which is good for those first few days. Okay, let's see if we fit the last bits in here. So this canned food, I don't want to put it up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load it back here. As you can see, I have a lot of inefficiency in my action because this is my dry run. This is my practice run. Kid has to have a water cup and a toy. Don't underestimate things like toys. Okay. So my canned food, I am indeed gonna put there. I think I can fit it. I could even probably take a little more if I really wanted to. But I'm gonna limit myself to things that I have already packed, because the rest of it is just gonna be talking to your family and other inefficiencies. So I'm gonna assume this is it. Time to close up. Time to close up. So this is the last bit of material I can take. Put it there. So that's it. Closing up shop. Look, pretend the kid and the wife are loaded. They probably took care of themselves. They may have other ideas as to other things they want to bring along. So, like some sort of emotional mementos and whatnot, they might be unwilling to part with them. So you're gonna have to assume that some space is gonna be used up with that kind of stuff. Another thing, which is something you don't want to underestimate, is the value of a toolbox with just some basic tools. Hammers, some nails, some screwdrivers. So I'm gonna see if I can, I'm gonna just put them over there. Now, in a true apocalyptic scenario, I would ram more stuff there and ram some more stuff here, but this is a dry run, so I'm not gonna go further than this. So you can see it is now nearly 11:45, and all I have done is loaded the car with stuff that has been conveniently prepackaged and set up in a shelf right next to the car beforehand. So it's like all preset. In a real scenario, it'll take you much longer to load a car, even with minimal amount of stuff like this. So we'll close up, and then we will be on the road soon. Now, all I did was walk around the house one last time, and it's now just beyond 11:45. It's almost it's now almost 11:50, and I realized I also want to bring a portable air quality monitor. So pretty much any smoke, you want to avoid smoky areas or know when to mask up if you start seeing the smoke go up. Also, there's a high chance that eventually fine particulate fallout will start showing up. So you'll want to know when you want to stay indoors, and if you need to duct tape seal with plastic or tarps or whatnot, if you can fit them in the car, whatever area you're hiding in, hopefully which would be a hotel room far away from ground zero. Or if you are desperate, you might end up staying in your car, but that's not very protective. The best case scenario is to get to a high-rise building that's not blown down and move to the middle floors. The reason you want to be in the middle floors is because the ground floor will be too close to the fallout that settled on the ground, and the roof is also dangerous because that's going to collect fallout. So if you find a high-rise building, the safest place is in the middle floors. And the middle floors, if you have like a 10-story building and you're like on the 5th or 6th floor, you might be pretty safe or relatively far from the fallout. A lot of building structure, especially if you stay in the middle of the building, the protection factor can approach 1,000 there. So it's almost as good as being inside like one of these Atlas shelters, being underground. So find yourself a high-rise building that has not blown down. That's the ideal. You may not be able to find such a thing, but if you can, that's where you want to be. Okay, I'm finally about to leave. I'm going to pretend my wife is there, pretend my kid is there. I did not take the tools with me because I need them where I've left them, but I'm going to pretend the tools are there. Otherwise, this car is set up exactly like it would if I were to bug out. So we shall see now how this goes. Okay, I'm actually turning the engine on, and it's already significantly later than I'd like. So that's already past 11:50, but that's the moment that I turned the engine on from the point that I started bugging out.
Please drive to highlighted route.
Now I'm going to reverse my path from this particular potential bug out location to my home and see how long it takes. Another place to consider, freeway underpasses. Right there, up there, if you can get up there and stay up there somehow, which might not be that easy, would be a pretty good place to protect yourself from direct fallout. I'm not sure what the protection factor would be, but it could be quite high. Now, the most important factor of all, make sure your car is gassed up. If you drop below like half gas, then it's time to fill up. Make sure your gas is never below half. So now I'm gonna gas up because I did my practice dry run.
Detonation.